The breeze blows the branches and leaves, and the mottled light and shadow sway. The handsome man sat on the bench under the tree, and the little girl stood behind the iron gate beside the tree, looking at each other. The sun was shining, the wind was blowing grass clippings, and time stopped for a moment. The next second, the aesthetic conception was completely destroyed. God will come on the night of the full moon to punish you ignorant fools. A man in slippers and sick clothes ran from behind, followed by a group of nurses and doctors. Quick! Quick! Stop him! Beside him, a scrawny boy sat on the ground hugging his knees, indifferent to everything around him. Chi Fakya looked down at the small ball that rolled to his feet, bent down to pick it up, got up and walked towards the iron gate. The nurse standing by the bench quickly followed, with a hint of vigilance and alertness in her eyes. Walking to the iron gate, Chi Fakya squatted down and handed the ball out through the gap of the iron fence. Here. Outside the iron gate, the little girl may have been frightened by the turmoil just now, or maybe she was not used to Chi Fakya's expressionless face throughout the whole process, and took the ball dully. Chi Fakya stood up and prepared to leave. Wait a minute. The little girl said hurriedly, "Thank you, big brother. My name is Ayami, Yoshida Ayami, what's your name?" Chi Fakya stopped and looked back at the girl. At the age of 6 or 7, he has well-behaved short hair, a yellow headband, a pink sweater, and a pair of big eyes looking at him expectantly. In this two-dimensional world, she can be regarded as a very cute little girl. The key is Yoshida Ayami. This name, combined with the chaotic timeline, made Chi Fakya wonder whether to laugh or cry. The world he traveled to was Detective Conan? A month ago, he was surprised to find that he who should have died had transmigrated into a Japanese college student. The same name as him, Chi Fakya. Same age as him, 20 years old. If it weren't for that strange face and a strange family, he would almost think he was resurrected. He is a pure Chinese, and the owner of this body is a pure Japanese. In my previous life, I only heard that the surname Chi is very widely distributed, including China, Japan, South Korea, Italy, and Malaysia. But he would rather not know each other. When he crossed over, the original consciousness of this body still existed. The two would alternate with each other every 3 or 4 hours, taking control of the body, while the other fell into a deep sleep. On the second day of time travel, he was sent to the psychiatric department. Split personality is the basic diagnosis. And in his opinion, there is a problem with the time here. Yesterday was Saturday, why is it still Saturday? But in the eyes of the doctor and the people around him, he has a problem, a complication of split personality time perception syndrome. During this time, he began to wonder if there was something wrong with him. Only now did I find out that this is the world of Conan, with the chaos of this world. He has something to say. To make matters worse, after he crossed over, he could hear the words of animals and plants from time to time. In addition, he had just crossed over and had no memory to inherit. He really had no feelings for this world or even his family. He didn't know the test results, but he went to see a doctor. The serious expression on his face at that time can also be guessed that it must be terrible. In addition, the original consciousness itself has depression, and he committed suicide twice before. Well, it must be admitted to the hospital for treatment, or primary care. The so-called primary care has its own key ward, and activities cannot be separated from the nurse's vision. In the previous week, the activities in the intensive care unit were mainly indoors. When going out, the staff had to accompany them, and the items were managed by the staff. Assess the condition every day, and record once every 3 to 7 days of nursing. Changes in the condition are recorded at any time, and reported to the doctor for timely treatment. Get up on time, go to bed on time, take medicine on time, monitor from time to time. If you are not sick, you can still get sick. Big brother. Yoshida Ayami looked at Chi Fakya suspiciously, with a strange blush on her face, really a handsome big brother. Miss Nurse squatted down and explained, "Little sister, he." Chi Fakey returned to his senses and looked at Yashida Ayami. "Chi Fakey, my name." Ayami Yashida nodded, showing a sweet smile. "I remember, can I come to play with you another day?" "Ah, no." Miss Nurse quickly refused. Although Chi Fakey has not attacked others at present, children are easily disturbed by other people's thoughts. She can't guarantee that Chi Fakey will not make any strange remarks, nor dare he promise to let a little girl have too much contact with Chi Fakey. "Why?" Yashida Ayami's puzzled voice was left behind. Chi Fakey had already turned around and walked towards the ward with an indifferent expression. On the way, a man leaned in front of him, looked around nervously, and whispered, "I tell you, your existence is only your cognitive existence, and cognition can be deceived. In fact, this world is a certain existence. Created, as long as he wants, he can erase us at any time, do you believe it?" Chi Fakey stared at the man for a moment. "Maybe. Is this world created by Qing Shan? Does it really exist?" Even he doesn't understand. The man let out a long sigh of relief, with a hint of relief in his eyes, and suddenly grabbed Chi Fakey who was about to leave. "You are the first person to believe in me. Since you believe in me, I can't ignore you. I tell you, there is a big problem in the world, there are eyes on us all the time, and I have a way to escape." Chi Fakey looked at the chattering man, a little tired, stepped forward, threw his backhand, and at the same time knocked the man down. He hit the man's carotid artery with a blow. The man fainted abruptly. "The world finally." "No, the world is not clean. What are you doing? Quick, here!" Before anyone could run up, Chi Fakey had consciously let go. After an hour, the middle-aged doctor is already a little bald, slightly fat, with a festive round face with a smile. At least his affinity is full marks. "Mr. Chi, I want to know, why did you hit him on the neck?" Chi Fakey looked at Fukuyama's Himing and his attending physician, his face still expressionless. "He's too noisy." Fukuyama Chiaki smiled, "Just because of this. I have my senses." Chi Fakey didn't continue to explain, "Let AI think what she wants. When I entered this place, the more I denied that I was sick, the more I was judged to be seriously ill." Fukuyama's Himing nodded, non-committal, slowed down his voice and explained, "Don't do this next time. The human neck is a very fragile place. Hitting the aorta will cause coma and fainting, but it may also lead to death. This is a very dangerous behavior." Chi Fakey could see that Fukuyama's Himing was going to add a little more to his notebook, but he didn't say much. "I see." Fukuyama's Himing observed Chi Fakey and sighed in his heart. He could see that Chi Fakey didn't take it to heart. Whether he had a tendency to hurt others, he had to take a good look at it. He didn't show it on his face. He still smiled. The recovery has been good recently, the alternation of the two personalities is not so frequent, and if you continue to communicate, you should be able to recover soon. By the way, do you know what day of the week tomorrow is?" Chi Fakey remembered reading the calendar and newspaper before leaving the ward. "Today is Tuesday, tomorrow Wednesday." Fukuyama's Himing corrected, "Cough, tomorrow is Friday." Chi Fakey was silent, forcibly resisting the urge to flip the table. "Today Tuesday, tomorrow Friday?" Very good, he knew that this was a sending proposition. Looking at it this way, he's afraid he won't be able to get out in his whole life, right? He thinks the time in this world is abnormal, but everyone else thinks it is normal, then he is an anomaly and a patient in this world. This may also be the feeling of many people with mental illness. However, a pot of succulents on the table was still making trouble, making a dissatisfied voice, "It's really uncomfortable, it's really uncomfortable, I want to drink water, it's really uncomfortable." "Friday, I see." Chi Fei looked indifferently without squinting. Last time, it was because the pot of succulents was making trouble. His eyes wandered for a while, and he was discovered by Fukuyama Shiming, who was observing him. He asked him what he saw or heard. "Psychiatrist or something, it's really troublesome." The chat ended in about half an hour. The physician's assistant was a young woman, smiled and said in a low voice, "Mr. Chi is considered a patient who has recovered very well. He has cooperated with the treatment since he was admitted to the hospital. Well, everything is going in the right direction." Fukuyama's Himing's eyebrows were a little condensed. "You reading www.yuyugonshu.com? I can't say, he is very smart." "Hey." The female assistant was puzzled. "Have you read his diagnosis report carefully?" Fukuyama's Himing took out a folder from the drawer, opened it and pointed to the diagnosis result: split personality. 2 personalities have affective deficit disorder, 1 personality is severely depressed, accompanied by obsessive-compulsive disorder, suicidal tendencies, another personality auditory hallucinations, delusions, disturbance of time perception." The female assistant nodded. "Typical symptoms of split personality." Split personality is a very troublesome disease that requires long-term treatment. Now it seems that both of his personalities recognize the existence of each other and actively communicate with each other, but pay attention to his daily behavior. He suffers from split personality and his expressions are extremely indifference. The same is true for the emotions of the people around him," Fukuyama Chiaki said. "From this point of view, he has no signs of recovery. Recently, his body is dominated by delusional personalities, right? He is very smart, and it seems that he has recognized it. He is still feigning and deceiving. His personality is very smart and cunning, and when this personality appeared, he still had agile skills, but there is no such training in the biographical record. In other words, this personality was delusional by him." The female assistant pondered. "We must make him realize this, and then judge whether the delusional personality is aggressive." Fukuyama Chiaki thought for a while, "But for now, at least the delusional personality will not commit suicide such as harming itself. Recently have you contacted his family?" "Yes," the female assistant lowered her voice, "but his parents didn't plan to come to see him." After a few words, they said they were busy and hung up. Fukuyama Shiming frowned. "They really don't have any plans to cooperate." Beneath the tree, a bench. Still the old place. On the way back, Chi Fakya picked up a newspaper and sat down to read it. Since it's definitely the world of Detective Conan, it's boring to be idle anyway, so let's take a look at the current timeline. This should be evident from the news. In the last week's newspapers, there was no report on Kudo Shinichi. With such a low appearance rate, it should have been reduced by injection. There was a report on Kogoro Mori on the front page 2 days ago. The collision of detective writers and real detectives. Detective Left Characters series writer Rentaro dies. Famous detective Mori Kogoro solves the mystery according to the secret code of the work. Is it a relatively earlier time period? I just don't know whether the time in this world is based on anime or manga. According to the comics, Habara AI has already appeared at this time. If it is the timeline of the anime, it is estimated that it will take a while. He was a little curious about this lowly. Chi Fakya thought for a moment. According to the mysterious style of that organization, it is estimated that not much has been exposed to the outside world. That is to say, members of that organization are unlikely to be on the bounty list, at least the bounty list that is open to the public. And surely equals scientific researcher equals unknown otaku. Equals worthless. This is the thinking of a scavenger in a previous life. A scavenger, also known as a bounty hunter, mainly works to catch some heinous criminals and hand them over to the police or the government. When conducting a cleanup operation, a license issued by the International Search Bureau must be obtained first. It stands to reason that the homeland of the previous life is very safe, and there is almost no room for such professional activities. But he still did it. In that year, there were 7 children together, the oldest was 10 years old and the youngest was only 6 years old. They are martial arts students. Those who entered the martial arts school were either because their parents found it difficult to discipline, or because of some kind of change in the family. Given the national conditions, very few people send their children to martial arts schools with their feelings. If you want to learn martial arts, wouldn't he like to sign up for an interest class? The 7 children in those years all had an accident with their parents. There was no one to discipline them at home, and relatives sent them to the martial arts school, so they could talk very well. One day, I don't know which middle school guy knew about the scavenger, and when he mentioned it, it immediately ignited the middle school souls of the little ghosts. No one is willing to be mediocre. Of course, maybe they just want to find a goal to survive, a goal that, even if they don't know much about it, they will work hard with only a passion. 10 years later, 7 people left the country with their blood and sweat for 10 years and their outstanding skills far exceeding that of students of all years. At that moment, they were indeed dashing, but the reality was often more cruel. Even if they find a way and find their deficiencies, not everyone can rely on their talent to make up for their deficiencies in firearms. Of the 7 people, only 3 passed. Less than a year later, the other 2 gave up one after another, but he was the only one who persisted. Why persist? He didn't know either. Maybe it's because I regarded this as the meaning of life since I was a child, or maybe it was the blank and frustrated eyes of my companion who left that year, or maybe it's the feeling of freedom that makes people intoxicated and don't know where to go. But it's really not a good job. Some of the little friends who went home became rich people's bodyguards, and some became coaches. Maybe they weren't as profitable as a scavenger, but they were more stable and safe. He worked hard to the end for 3 years, and he made a lot of money, but he also took his own life, and he never regretted it. Those free, casual, crazy, unique, and novel landscapes have a fatal beauty. Chi Fakya looked away from the newspaper he hadn't read much, and looked at the other side's fence. Much more beautiful than the scenery here. 6 liars, I don't want to miss those sights in this life. Who told you to leave that I was the most talented one? Continue to be envious. Chi Fei drooped his eyes to block the faint smile in his eyes. Just as he was about to continue reading the newspaper, a large amount of unfamiliar memories flooded in with a feeling of envy and relief. It is the memory of Chi Fakya in this world. Due to the combination of interests, the parents who have no feelings, have a completely cold relationship in less than 5 years, and each has his own way. Considering the interests of the company, the 2 did not get divorced, and they kept their marriage in name only, and they didn't care much about their only children. In my memory, in a deserted home, there was only a school celebration performance that my parents would not show up, and time again I could only use my excellent grades in exchange for a little attention, but the result was just a back figure who hurriedly left after complimenting. There is no plot, but the original consciousness is too introverted and withdrawn. He has never been in love in his entire life, has no friends, no goals, no hobbies, and finally fell ill. Until the end, a feeling of envy and relief came, and the memory ended with the fragment 3 days ago. Chi Fakya understood that the original consciousness might have completely dissipated. It's a pity, maybe it's because of his personality, even if he has experienced those emotions with memory, it's only fleeting, there is a trace of resonance, but it's not strong enough. So, the 2 consciousnesses in the same body can't fully understand it. When those doctors said I understand you, what a gentle lie they told. Silently complaining about the doctors in the mental hospital, Chi Fakya restrained his thoughts. Now the plan is about to change. The reason he stayed in the mental hospital before was because of the depression of the original consciousness. He was really worried that one day this guy would not be able to think about it when he took over his body, and he would play with him. In the hospital, even if his consciousness is asleep, there are doctors and nurses watching, which is safer. But if the original consciousness dissipated, he didn't plan to play with these people. Discharged from hospital? If you want to be discharged from the hospital, either the doctor thinks you have recovered, or your family will come to pick you up. The second way doesn't work. The doctor in this hospital is a bit overly responsible, and his parents have no intention of supervising him. It is impossible for the doctor to allow him to leave the hospital when he is not sure about his recovery. The problem turns back to the first way. Don't think about it at all, this is a dead end. Leaving aside his time perception disorder, when he entered this place and met a group of responsible doctors, there was something wrong with him. The only way is for his parents to express their opinions, and if he is tougher, he can still leave. After all, he didn't break the law or behave antisocially, so the hospital couldn't force him to stay in the hospital. It would be foolish to sneak away when there are other ways. If you have a tougher attitude, you can go, but instead of thinking about communication, you choose to escape? It must be getting worse. Take it back, the ICU is waiting for you. Chi Fakey absently flipped through the newspaper, thinking about making a phone call another day to discuss with the body's biological parents about being discharged from the hospital. Mr. Chi, what are you looking for? The little nurse next to her came over with a smile. I kept flipping through the newspapers and got distracted. Something was wrong. I had to pay attention to the patient's abnormal behavior. I could understand it if I knew it. Chi Fakey understood the little nurse's thoughts at a glance, and was silent for a while. I'm just stunned for a while. That's right, I see. The little nurse nodded. The patient is in a daze, so I'll record it later. Chi Fakey was speechless and glanced at the uncle who was lying on the railing and looking up at the sky. I heard that this uncle has been here for 11 years. It is estimated that there is no hope of being discharged from the hospital in the next 1 or 2 years. Just like the hospital is as deep as the sea, it is impossible to recover from this. Terrifying. Eating, exercising, basking in the sun, eating, taking medicine, sleeping, the day goes by. Apart from the lack of freedom, it is completely the lazy life that the salted fish dream of. However, in order to prevent external information interference and dependence on electronic products, as well as for safety, individuals are not allowed to carry mobile phones and computers, which may be unacceptable for salted fish who want to play mobile phones and watch dramas for a lazy day. The next day, Chi Fei was late to the office of Fukuyama's Himing to call. No one answered the phone at home as usual, and called the body's biological father's cell phone again. Beep, beep. The phone rang twice and was connected. The male voice was calm. Hello, are you? Father, it's me, Chi Fakey. There was silence for a while. How is your recovery? It's okay, I'm going to be discharged from the hospital. Chi Fakey went straight in. Judging from my memory, I don't know if there is anyone outside of this body's biological parents, but they are all money-making madmen. He is also willing to spend money, at least his living expenses are sufficient. Even this time he was admitted to the hospital, the couple sent him for examination and admission in the morning, and hurried to deal with their own business in the afternoon. A very strange family. Addicted to making money, unable to extricate. If you don't make money for a day, you will feel miserable. I love making money makes me happy. Besides making money, there is no other fun in life. Money can bring happiness, and the process of making money can also bring happiness. Cough, thinking about it this way, Chi Fakey actually thinks. It's quite interesting. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. After all, he is the transmigrator Chi Fakey. In this regard, he can only say, you can live as you like. I'm going to France tomorrow, and it will take at least half a month to come back, the man said quietly. I'll talk about it when I get back. It's actually better in the hospital, at least someone will take care of you. The doctors and nurses are more professional than the housekeepers and servants. On the side, Fukuyama Shiming, who was listening, couldn't help frowning. In layman's terms, isn't it we don't have time to take care of you, isn't it good that you have food, drink, and someone to take care of you in the mental hospital? Did you say that? The parents are too cold. Chi Fakey was not surprised. This answer was not very different from his guess. Where's my mother? Hasn't come back yet. I don't know about her side. The man said. Chi Fakey continued, then see if you can find someone to fish me out first, it's too boring to stay here. A calm male voice, I've already asked you for leave from Dongju University, what are you doing when you have nothing to do? Chi Fakey said calmly, as soon as I'm bored, I just want to call you every day to ask about the situation. There was silence on the phone for a second. I'll ask if anyone can help pick you up. Chi Fakey, it's better to be relatives. Male voice, understood, wait for the news. Chi Fakey, how many days at the latest? Male voice, 3 days. Chi Fakey, okay. The phone hangs up, simply and neatly. Chi Fakey raised his eyes and met Fukuyama's Himing's thoughtful gaze, very much like the gaze of a certain black uncle in Marvel. Fukuyama's Himing stared, Mr. Chi, does your family have a history of mental genetic disease? Chi Fakey put the phone back where it was, this is. Suspect his parents have mental illness? Dr. Fukuyama, the hospital stay here is not cheap. Sure enough, do you have a history of mental genetic disease? Fukuyama's Himing's expression became more serious, and he advised, if you find a problem, you should treat it in time. No, I mean, Chi Fakey said in his usual calm tone, please let them go. If the whole family comes in, who will pay the hospital? Fukuyama chiming choked, then slowed down, it doesn't necessarily need to be hospitalized, we can also solve it through communication. In this case, it may be good for your recovery. I don't mean to be sarcastic, but I'm still a little curious. Seeing everyone seems to have a problem, is it an occupational disease? Chi Fakey asked back. Is that so? Fukuyama's Himing thought for a while, but did not deny that it was an occupational disease, and suddenly asked, Mr. Chi, what day is tomorrow? Chi Fakey glanced at the calendar on the wall. Today is August 21st, August 22 ND. Fukuyama's Himing corrected, tomorrow is August 11th. It seems that there are still some problems with time perception. Chi Fakey. He hesitated for 0.01 seconds between flipping the table. Forget it, Dr. Fukuyama was a good and responsible doctor in addition to his occupational diseases. Well, but don't worry, don't run away, Fukuyama chiming said with relief as he took the notebook and recorded, it will be okay if you take your time. Chi Fakey. Faceless times 2. Okay, Fukuyama's Himing recorded it and raised his head with a smile, let's try again tomorrow. Chi Fakey wanted to say, take it away, give it up, there is no cure, but it is estimated that after saying this, he will be poured into a pot of fragrant chicken soup of comfort, so he simply changed the subject, I applied for a trip out. Is there a problem? Go and buy 2 books. I want to know the content of the book, no problem, right? What time are you going to be back? I'll register your outing records for you. 5 p.m. The weather forecast is for rain today, remember to bring an umbrella. When you go out, you need to determine the time of your return, and someone will accompany you. This is Chi Fakey's life in a mental hospital. Accompanying him out is a male doctor, Kitagawa Adachi. Very young, dressed in a neat black suit and pretending to be unsmiling, but it suddenly revealed that he was a new rookie in the hospital. Dr. Baichuan, are you nervous? Chi Fakey asked casually, carrying the selected book to the cashier. Baichuan Anda immediately retorted, no. Chi Fakey silently labeled the other party a rookie again, far worse than the old fritters like Fukuyama's Himing who can always smile, don't be nervous, I won't attack people, and I've always kept my senses. Baichuan Anda breathed a sigh of relief, and then took a look at the book Chi Fakey selected. The pile on the left, Introduction to Psychology, Measurement of Personality, Abnormal Psychology, Experimental Psychology, Psychostatistics, Psychometrics. The pile on the right, Murphy's Law, The Destructive Anatomy of Man, 3 lectures on theory, hysteria research, analysis of dreams, on the contributions of sensory perception theory, crime and personality, lie. By Chuan Anda. Sigma, degree what do you want to do? What do you want to do? That's all. Chi Fei had already settled the bill, chose 2 copies and put them aside, wrote down the address on the label, and handed it to the clerk. The rest will be packed in cardboard boxes and sent here, no one will be there. If so, put it directly with the uncle at the reception desk at the entrance of the apartment. Okay. The clerk took it with both hands. It will be delivered to you around 3 o'clock this afternoon. Chi Fei nodded and only took out the 2 books he picked out. The Interpretation of Dreams and Introduction to Psychology. By Chuan Anda hurriedly followed. Cough, Mr. Chi, you buy these books. Isn't this kind of book allowed to read? Chi Fei asked calmly. That's not true, but... Bai Chuan Anda hesitated. Well, I don't know, I have to wait to go back and ask Senior Fukuyama. Chi Fei nodded, then concentrated on waiting for the green light at the intersection. Bai Chuan Anda burst into tears. Obviously the 2 were standing side by side, and he was wearing a more formal suit, while Chi Fei was only wearing casual clothes. But why did he feel more like Chi Fei's little follower? Is this the so-called aura? Unscientific, this is absolutely unscientific, obviously he is the doctor. Suddenly the sky started to rain. Hey? It's raining. The passerby who was waiting for the green light stretched out his hand to catch the raindrops. The green light was on, and a couple behind them complained to each other and walked quickly. It's said that it will rain today, but you don't bring an umbrella. Didn't you bring it either? Fortunately, Senior Fukuyama reminded me. Bai Chuan Anda sighed with joy, lowered his head and pulled out 2 umbrellas from his handbag. Mr. Chi, since the bag is empty, let me keep the book for you first. Excuse me. Chi Fei retracted his gaze towards the sky, took the umbrella, and handed the book to Bai Chuan Anda. The rain became heavier and heavier, and the originally gloomy sky became darker. Pedestrians without umbrellas lowered their heads and hurried past, stepping on the rain that gradually accumulated on the road. Along the way, there were fewer and fewer people on the street. On the sidewalk, a small figure wrapped in an ill-fitting white coat, bowed his head, leaned against the wall, and walked barefoot and slowly. Chi Fei saw the figure and stopped. Bai Chuan Anda followed suspiciously. That child. The next second, the little man tripped over the edge of his white coat and fell into the standing water. A lot of sewage was spilled on his already wet brown hair. Chi Fei sighed inwardly, and walked towards Hui Yuanai. Seeing with my own eyes the embarrassed appearance of the little Lolita fell in the rain, it was very heartbreaking. Hui Yuanai struggled to stand up, wiped the rain on her face with her wet sleeves, and just as she was about to continue walking, she found that the road ahead was blocked and raised her eyes. In the rain, 2 tall and thin men stood in front of them with black umbrellas. One looks more mature, wearing a neat black suit, white shirt, black hair, short head, and a serious look. The other person who was dominant in her opinion looked much younger and was also dressed in black. The zipper of the black jacket was pulled up, the loose stand-up collar stood up, which somewhat blocked his face, the short black hair fell softly, and the light purple eyes were calm and indifferent, staring down at her. Is it someone from the organization? Was discovered. Hui Yuanai's face was pale, she froze in place, raised her head dazedly and looked at Chi Fei, her eyes full of panic and vigilance. Chi Fei realized that lowly AI was in a wrong mood, so he looked down at his clothes, then turned to look at Bai Chuan Anda. It was really interesting to go out today. The 2 of them were all in black, squatted down, looked directly at Hui Yuanai. You, where are you going? I'll take you. Habara AI. Watch carefully. This kind of calm tone, this indifferent look. Maybe it's true to ask her where she's going, but what to say to send her is actually mocking her embarrassment, right? Baijuan Anda, who pretended to be I'm not easy to mess with, eased his expression a little, coughed dryly, and reminded with a smile, Mr. Chi, you seem to have scared her, just smile at children, don't keep your face straight. Habara AI. Continue to watch carefully. These two guys, are they laughing at her on purpose? Oh. Really? Chi Fake was non-committal. He could probably guess that now Habara AI can't trust anyone other than Kudo Shinichi, who has the same experience of becoming smaller as her and has hatred for the organization. Not to mention that they are all black, obviously stimulating the nerves of lowly AI at the most sensitive period. Haiwan AI couldn't bear it anymore, and he was going to die sooner or later. Why should he accept the ridicule of these two guys? He took a deep breath. Although his body was weak, his voice was still full of coldness. If you have enough ridicule, go ahead and carry out your mission, you. Chi Fake, who was named by his gaze, said. Isn't it a member of the periphery? Hai Yu and I looked at Chi Fake. Although she couldn't read minds, she could vaguely sense the threat from Chi Fake, and with the disposition corresponding to her indifferent eyes, she was in the organization all over the place. Unlikely to be a general peripheral member. Is a member with a code name? Who is it? But it doesn't matter anymore. Habara AI calmed down, let's do it. Baijuan Anda was confused, little sister, what are you talking about? Wait. Mr. Chi, you. Chi Fake had already picked up Hui Yu and I, holding an umbrella in one hand and a person in the other, she asked me to do it. No, but... Baijuan Anda was at a loss for words. Let you do it, do you really do it? Haven't you found out yet, her physical condition is not right. Chi Fake reached out and touched Hui Yu and I's forehead, sure enough, she has a fever, it would be better to take her to the hospital. Baijuan Anda also got serious, took out his mobile phone and searched, let me see where the nearest hospital is. Little sister, where is your home? Do you remember your parents' phone numbers? Haiwan was stunned for a moment. She seemed to misunderstood these two people. However, people from the organization may be searching nearby, and she must stay away from this area. No, no. Haiwan AI clutched Chi Fake's sleeve tightly with her right hand, and looked up at Chi Fake's serious and frightening eyes, you can't go to the hospital. Chi Fake knew that it might not be far from where he escaped, then go to my house. No. No. Habara AI and Kitagawa Adachi spoke in unison. Habara AI was silent, she couldn't implicate others. Baijuan Anda sternly persuaded, Mr. Chi, the reported time to go out is only until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and now it's only over an hour, you have to go back, it's better to take her to the hospital, and it's better to contact her family will be worried when they find out that she is gone. Little sister, do you remember the contact information at home? Little sister. Chi Fake hugged Hai Yu and I, who was sleeping with his eyes closed, I've already passed out. Baijuan Anda. Is he being too verbose? Cupido Town, High-End Apartment Building, 303. Chi Fake walked in with Hui Yu and I in his arms. Baijuan Anda followed behind and muttered, Mr. Chi, let's take her to the hospital and inform her family. Her parents don't know what to think. They even let a child run around barefoot on a rainy day. Chi Fake took Huiwen into the bathroom and put him in the bathtub. Baijuan Anda, even if she falls asleep and can't contact her family, we have to contact the police. Maybe her family is in a hurry to find someone. Chi Fake took out a large bath towel. Seeing Chi Fei's silence, Baijuan Anda simply acted and took out his mobile phone. Hey? Senior Fukuyama's phone. Chi Fake put the bath towel by the bathtub and raised his head. Baijuan Anda suddenly had a bad feeling, Ike. A hand knife. The world is clean. Chi Fake held Baijuan Anda with one hand, took the phone with the other, and answered calmly, Imitating Baichuan Anda's voice, his face was expressionless, but his tone was full of apology. Senior Fukuyama, we encountered a little trouble, no. Cough cough, I met a little girl who got lost on the way. She was caught in the rain and fell asleep with a fever. She was about to take her to the hospital. Cough, yet, maybe I accidentally got caught in the rain just now. I also have a little cold, don't worry, Chi, it's okay sir, I have contacted the parents of the little girl, they are not in Tokyo, but they will come over. Yes, we will go back when they arrive. Hang up the phone and continue to deal with a little lowly who is like a chicken in soup. Help take a bath, wrapped in a towel and threw it into the bed. Later, I have to buy 2 sets of clothes for the little girl. By the way, I will take the books from the bookstore to the store downstairs. I have cold medicine at home, but I don't have any ingredients. I have to buy 2 bentos and come back. There are many things. 2 hours later, the rain stopped outside the window. The lights in the living room and bedroom were on. Chi Feka sat at the desk, browsing the web page displayed on the computer screen. Taking advantage of today's rare opportunity to surf the internet freely, he checked the information on the deep network. There are bounty hunters in this world, but no international search bureau. If you want to receive a bounty, you need to contact the relevant department of a certain country, register, and get permission before you can act. The United States is the FBI or CIA, and Japan is the National Police Agency. There are 2 ways to register. One is to go directly. The identity of the bounty hunter is not strictly confidential. There are many ostentatious bounty hunters in the world. The other is to find the other party's web portal from the deep network, contact the administrator, and register. Both parties are anonymous accounts, and they can even contact each other online without meeting. Chi Feka used the first type in his previous life. Without much thought, Chi Feka gave up the first method of registration. He is still a mental patient, and he will have a history of mental illness when he is discharged from the hospital. It is better to keep a low profile. Found the public security web portal, and sent a message to the administrator. Bounty hunter registration, scope of activities, Japan. The other party replied quickly, have you ever conducted bounty operations in other countries before? If yes, please provide the code number and license number. Chi Feki, no bounty action has been carried out before. Opponent, there are very few bounty hunters in Japan, why did you choose to be a bounty hunter in Japan? Chi Feki, because I am in Japan. This makes sense. The other party's reply was delayed by nearly half a minute, provide a code. Chi Feki, July. The other party, what kind of bounty payment method do you choose? Chi Feki sent his anonymous bank account abroad, 2219, recipient, provide contact information. Chi Feki registered a new email address, 8781, opponent, do you know the scope of action of the bounty hunter? Chi Feki, understand as long as the pay is right. Bounty hunters can basically do anything, even if they deliver food. In addition, there are also commissions such as treasure hunting and information collection. It looks similar to a detective, but compared to a detective, there are high-risk jobs such as arresting dangerous criminals, or illegal jobs such as assault and assassination. The difference between mercenaries and mercenaries is that most mercenaries act collectively and pay attention to discipline, while bounty hunters are prodigal sons. The other party sent the action rules and a data package. We need to evaluate your level. Chi Feki opened it to check. The action details were probably injuring innocent people and causing the death of criminals. Do not pay bounties and hold them accountable. If they are arrested for performing illegal tasks assigned by them, certain help will be given depending on the situation. No support will be given to individuals who violate the law or are arrested illegally due to the entrustment of others. In addition, there are basic regulations such as confidentiality of tasks, self-preparation of food tools, and responsibility for action expenses. Chi Feka didn't expect it, it was similar to the previous life. But for help or something, forget it. Sometimes you would rather give up the task than take the risk. If you expect others to help you wipe your butt, you may find that they are just being polite. There are 3 bounty missions in the package: a mission to collect evidence of crimes committed by members of violent societies, a mission to apprehend serial killers, and a mission to protect targets. The 3 directions of collection, arrest, and protection are the initial assessment and evaluation. If he can't complete any of them, the other party may also keep his registration information for a period of time, and he can also find the bounty list to act on his own, but until he proves his strength, the other party should not take the initiative to contact him again. The really challenging and profitable bounties tend to be internal connections. The protection mission is only 3 days, but the bounty is the highest. The search missions and arrest missions are not limited. Logically speaking, the order should be based on the completion of the protection task, and the search task and arrest task can be slowed down. Especially in the arrest mission, the other party only provided photos and simple personal information. Who knows where the target is hiding? It takes a lot of work to find people. But the target of this capture mission is a bit special. Numbachi Kichiro. He has a bit of an impression of this plot. Who wouldn't want to easily spend some money and prestige? Just find Kichiro Numbachi before Conan. But from the time point of view, Habara AI has defected, and it is estimated that Numbachi Kichiro was arrested in the past few days. Time is a bit urgent. Do you want to take advantage of this time to make a splash? Chi Fakya looked at Baijuan Anda, who was sleeping on the couch. Now the mental hospital has passed by, but when Baijuan Anda wakes up, if he goes back, he may have to focus on observation and psychological counseling. There was some movement in the direction of the bedroom. The half-closed door was pushed open, and Habara AI looked at the living room and stayed at the door. In fact, she woke up long ago, but when she woke up, she found that she had been changed into a new set of fitted, warm brown pajamas, and there was a black ball tail on her pants, which made her mood suddenly complicated. What's up with this cute pajamas? No, the question is, who helped to change her clothes? She remembers encountering 2 men, who mistakenly thought they were from the organization, almost despaired, and when one of them picked her up, she fainted. Before she came out, she also comforted herself, maybe after the 2 men brought her back, their sisters or friends. In short, there was a girl who bought clothes for her to change. Yes, only girls would choose this kind of pajamas, only a girl would be so considerate, and she didn't forget to buy it for her, the same brown bear slippers, the same inside. Then, he opened the door and saw that there were no girls in the living room, and his heart was cold. Awake. Chi Fakey raised his head and glanced, temporarily locked the screen of the computer, got up and went to the kitchen to boil water. There are lunch boxes on the table, eat first, and take the medicine later. Hui Yuanai stared at Chi Fakey as she entered the kitchen. She was suffocated and silently walked to the table to pick up the bento box, sat down on the sofa, and lowered her head to eat. The other party was so calm, she didn't know what to say at all. Moreover, if the other party asks about the situation in her home, she has to think about how to cover it up. However, Chi Fakya didn't ask. When the water boiled, he poured a cup and put it on the table along with the cold medicine he found earlier, then turned around and sat in front of the computer. While eating, Habara AI secretly glanced at Kitagawa Adachi, who was asleep on the sofa opposite. The sleeves of the coat had traces of drying up from the rain, but they were not taken off, and the tie was also pressed under the shoulders, not like falling asleep naturally. However, looking at the rise and fall of the chest, breathing, and still alive. Looking at Chi Fakey again, he seemed to be using his computer to link his mobile phone to download something, and he didn't intend to speak at all. Inexplicable. Haiwan AI felt that it was as quiet as she was alone here. I'm staying at a relative's house. If I don't go back, they will be worried. Chi Fakey, I took the medicine and sent you there. Habara AI. Silence. One person eats and one person watches the download progress on the phone. In about a minute. What clothes did you change for me? Habara asked sadly. Yes, Chi Feka confessed, I also gave you a bath. You also bought the clothes. Habara Ai looked a little uncomfortable. Chi Fei didn't lift his head. Well, in addition to the pajamas, I also bought 2 sets of clothes for you to wear every day. You can choose the one you like and put it on when you go out. There was only an ill-fitting t-shirt under the coat, nothing was worn, and it was all soaked in water. Huiwen Ai Urgent turned red instantly, and she lowered her head and took 2 bites of rice. After she became smaller, she would definitely not be able to wear the clothes she used to wear, but why is a big man so careful? Even Nene bought it for her. When she wakes up, she can buy it herself. Again there was silence for more than a minute. Huiwen Ai slowed down, thank you. Chi Fei, you're welcome. Habara Ai. Again, there was silence for more than a minute. Huiwen Ai, what happened to him? Chi Fei, ether. Habara Ai. Is it difficult to say 2 more words? Thanks to her understanding, it means using ether to bring people down. Fortunately, this time, Chi Fei added another sentence as an explanation, it would be better to let him sleep for a while. Huiwen Ai recalled hearing in a days before that these 2 people seemed to be going somewhere, I seem to have caused you trouble. It's not too much trouble, Chi Fei said, I just have something to do. Huiwen sadly saw that Chi Fei did not elaborate, and did not ask any further questions. He looked at Chi Fei, aren't you curious, why do I run out into the street alone on a rainy day? Chi Fei, nothing curious. Huiwen Ai, is there nothing you want to ask? Chi Fei, no. Habara Ai. Silent stare. Chi Fei, looking back calmly. Habara Ai lowered her head and continued to eat. It was she who lost. Eat alone, and play with mobile phones alone. About 5 minutes later, Habara Ai finished eating, took cold medicine again, and went to the room to change clothes. On Chi Fei's side, the information of the 3 bounty tasks was also downloaded to the mobile phone, the traces left on the computer were cleaned up, the computer was turned off, and Baichuan Anda was covered with a coat. Pack your pajamas and another new set of clothes and take them away. Huiwen mournfully acquiesced to Chi Fei's behavior. After going out, he pulled up the hat of his red coat, then what should he do? He will go back by himself when he wakes up. Chi Fei closed the door, where is the specific address, I'll drive you there. Number 21, 2CHOME, by Keiko. An hour later, a car stopped in front of Kudo's house. Hai Yu and I looked at the dark and quiet house and coughed lightly, everyone seems to be out, you go back first, I'll wait outside for a while. Before, she was all thinking about finding the same Kudo Shinichi, whether as a smaller kind or as someone who knew that the organization still had festivals, it was a good choice to find a way for Kudo Shinichi. But almost forgot that Kudo Shinichi won't live here when he gets smaller. I'll wait with you for a while. Chi Fei got out of the car directly. Need not. Hai Yu and I followed and got out of the car, pretending to be a little girl, with a vigilant look. I heard that some perverts like to start with very young girls, do you still want to determine who is in my family, and then decide what to do? Are you planning to kidnap me? Chi Fei was stunned for a moment. Pfft! Laugh, laugh! Hui Yu and I stared blankly at Chi Fei. The big boy didn't have a deep smile on his face, but the light purple eyes smiled like melted clouds, warm and drowning. This guy. Returning to God, cold face +1. You, what are you laughing at? What's so funny? Chi Fei rubbed his face, this body seemed to have not laughed for a long time, the muscles on his face were stiff, and suddenly he laughed a little bit painfully, you suddenly act like a arrogant and difficult kid, it's funny. He was fine before, but suddenly his face changed, as if he was saying I have always suspected that you are a bad person. When I get home, I have nothing to fear. I will show you and expose you. Others may think so, but unfortunately, he knew that Habara AI was not a real little girl and would not make such a childish reaction. Are you worried that you will bump into the organization here? Or is he afraid that he will be involved and deliberately distance himself? Haiwan AI remembered the pile of books she saw on the living room table before, and realized that this guy is studying psychology. Well, it's boring to play, I'm just kidding. Chi Fakey nodded, yet. Haiwan gave Chi Fakey a peculiar look. This kind of guy who doesn't seem to think too much about anything, is silent and quiet like he has an autistic tendency. Is he really studying psychology? You've always been like this? Chi Fakey looked at Hai Yuanai in confusion. No curiosity, unsmiling, poor affinity, acting like a cold and arrogant person who doesn't get along well. Hai Yuanai replied with a leisurely look at Chi Fakey, who said she was arrogant and difficult to get along with. Chi Fakey thought for a while, I seem to be someone who is not easy to get along with. It looks like this. Hai Yuanai looked at Chi Fakey's calm face. Subtext, but not itself. But let her go to comfort a man and don't think too much. It's a little girlish, I feel uncomfortable just thinking about it. Anyway, the other party should be able to understand what she meant. Although this guy doesn't talk much, he has nothing to do with arrogant, at least he is very relaxed when getting along with him, and he is also a gentle person. Taking her back, it could be to sympathize with her or have other plans, to buy her clothes, or it could be because the money was too much to burn, and it didn't matter that it was spent, but this guy also bought slippers, underwear, this doesn't count. In addition, when she was eating, she saw the empty bento box on the table, which means that this guy went to buy bento and bought two specially, remember her one. There was still a faint fragrance of shampoo on her hair, but there was no trace of dampness on the pillow, indicating that she washed her hair and dried it carefully. Pajamas and slippers are the softest. At least I have carefully selected the fabrics. I bought 2 sets of clothes in different colors, and I did not forget to buy 2 coats that are suitable for low temperature wear at night. In addition, when I woke up, I had something to eat, and when it was time to take the medicine, the boiling water at hand was almost at a temperature suitable for drinking. And from the beginning to the end, this guy didn't specifically mention what he did, as if he should. Ignoring character and ignoring money, these small details are even more moving. Hai Yuanai couldn't help but glanced sideways at Chi Fakey, who was standing side by side and looking down at her phone. She just liked to look cold and not interested in anything, and she didn't know how to express it at all. That. Next door, Dr. Ali opened the door and looked suspiciously at the 2 people standing in the cold wind. Are you guys here to find the Kudo family? I'm a distant relative of the Kudo family, and my parents plan to visit, but unfortunately I got separated from them. Haiwan AI glanced at Chi Fakey, who put away his phone. He's a kind person who sent me here by the way. I have a very important matter with Kudo Shinichi. Chi Fakey, who was issued a good person card. Looking for Shinichi? He hasn't come back recently. Dr. Ali was a little embarrassed. Having been a neighbor for so many years, he never heard Kudo Shinichi say that he has such a distant relative. However, it was normal for distant relatives not to move around before. It seemed a bit inappropriate to leave people waiting outside. You. Habara AI looked at Dr. Ali with a mysterious smile on her face. Do you know the kind of medicine he takes? Dr. Li's expression froze for a while, and when he talked about medicine. I think you don't mind if I go to sit with you for a while, and let the unrelated people go to his business first. After all, you and I are also somewhat related, and you should also be happy to chat with me, right? Hai Hara's sorrowful tone was leisurely, and in Dr. Ali's ears, it was a threat from Chi Kuo. Ah, of course. Dr. Li restrained the dignified expression on his face, forced a smile, and looked at Chi Fakey hesitantly. Is it a good-hearted person who is irrelevant? Hui Yuanai turned to look at Chi Fakey again. Thank you for sending me here. I'll wait at his house, you go back first. Chifeke was a little curious. After he intervened, how would Habara AI and Dr. Ali communicate later, but Habara AI obviously didn't want him to be involved, so she nodded, got in the car, turned off her phone, and drove away. It's already a fact that he stunned Baijuananda and lied to delay returning to the hospital. Even if he takes the initiative to go back now, a set menu of key observation and chicken soup is inevitable. Since that's the case, why don't you just go ahead and think about what AI thinks? He won't play with him any longer. I just took this opportunity to go to Osaka and arrest Kichiro Numbachi. The next day. Osaka, Tsutenkaku. On the observation deck, the dark-skinned brother introduced to the people around him, where, it's the Tenaji Zoo, there's the Osaka Sports Hall. Hattori Heiji. Chifeke looked at him from a distance, looked away, and continued to inquire about which forest in Osaka has waterfalls and cabins. Fortunately, he drove to Osaka overnight last night to find a hotel to rest, otherwise the bounty target might have been intercepted by the Shinigami pupils. He couldn't remember the name of the place where Kichiro Numabuchi was discovered, so he could only pretend to be a tourist and ask others about it. As it happens, Tsutenkaku is a famous scenic spot in Osaka. There are many tour guides gathered here, and they should have an impression of the local scenery. You are talking about the Kimian waterfall in Kimian Mountain, right? When it comes to the forest with waterfalls and wooden houses, it should be there. It's just that I haven't been there for many years, so I don't know if the cabins have been demolished, the middle-aged man said. The uncle of the tour guide sighed. Actually, the Kimian waterfall was very famous in the early years. It was a beautiful waterfall that rushed straight down from a high cliff. Unfortunately, it was not developed further after that. It's desolate. Chifeke dug out the map of Osaka from the newly bought backpack and found the location of Kimian Mountain. The Kimian waterfall doesn't seem to be marked on the map. Let me mark it for you. The tour guide uncle took out the ballpoint pen he brought with him, and Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com leaned forward to help Chifeke mark it. I will also mark the route for you to enter the mountain. The road is open to traffic, which is very convenient, but what are you doing there? If you want to go to the forest bath, it is actually a better choice, such as, Chifeke listened to the uncle of the tour guide nagging a lot, thank you, but my friend asked me to meet there. If I have time, I will visit those places with them. That's it, then you can find me as a guide. I know all the attractions in Osaka very well, and I can't find anyone in Osaka that can compare with me. They just need to find Ping Chuan. I'll go when I'm free. Chifei responded, turned away with the map, and paid attention to Conan's side by the way. A few people over there were still chatting while watching the scenery. He also has to rent a car, and he envy this kind of person who takes the police to catch the criminal in the police car. In front of the viewing window, Hattori Heiji was still explaining to Conan, when I was about to catch the gangster in a dream, I was stabbed by the gangster in the back, and then you died. Conan stumbled, sweating and joking, what? Please, don't kill people like this, okay? Hey! Hattori Heiji saw that Conan suddenly turned his head to look behind, and followed, what's wrong? It seemed like someone was looking at us just now. Conan looked at the crowd, and subconsciously stopped at a black back. There are so many people here, it's normal to take a casual glance when passing by, right? Hattori Heiji was speechless. Even if you take a second look, you might be looking out the window. We're just standing in front of the window. That's right. Conan retracted his gaze, maybe it was an illusion. The face waterfall. A car parked in front of the cabin. In the compartment on the ceiling of the wooden house, Kichiro Numabuchi had his left hand chained to a pillar, and was sitting against the wall. He didn't react at all when he heard the movement of the car. After a while, a rustling sound came from below. Immediately, the wooden block of the partition on the ceiling was opened, a bundle of ropes was thrown up, and then a figure flipped over the partition neatly. After Chi Fakey adjusted his eyes to the dim light, he stood up with the rope in hand. Through the light coming from the window, he saw Kichiro Numabuchi leaning against the wall. "I found it." Numbachi Kichiro raised his head, his bony face was expressionless, and in his constricted pupils, a man in black with a low cap was reflected in front of him. From his point of view, he could see the light purple eyes under the brim of the hat that were staring at him indifferently. Was found. They must have found them. The hunger in the abdomen suddenly disappeared. He felt it. The body, which was weak from hunger, was once again full of strength. Numabuchi Kichiro's hands trembled, and he lowered his head, his expression gradually became grim. He suddenly got up and rushed towards Chi Fakey. "Give me death." Chi Fakey didn't move, calmly looking at the figure that rushed over, the skeleton-like face, the fierce yet terrified expression. He also watched as Numabuchi Kichiro was pulled to the ground because his left hand was chained, and he rushed over. It was indeed correct not to approach before. Even though Kichiro Numbachi looked like he was about to starve to death, just by listening to the heavy sound of falling, he knew how amazing the power that this guy burst out just now. Although he has been in control of his body for more than a month, he will do some exercises in a planned way, but the time is still too short. Even if the foundation and potential of this body are not bad, plus he has an efficient training plan, he is not sure that he will fight a burst monster like Numbachi Kichiro right now. What? After Kichiro Numabuchi fell, he struggled and roared to get up again, and kept throwing, keep throwing, keep falling. "Don't try to hurt me. Kill you. Go away. Kill you. Kill you." Seeing that Kichiro Numbachi was clearly in a state of madness, Ike Fei looked down at his clothes and was silent. Is it wrong to wear black clothes? Black is restrained, stable and easy to match. He wore black clothes for several years in his previous life, and the male friends around him also like to wear black clothes. So what's wrong with wearing black clothes? Members of a certain organization wear black, but others are not allowed to wear them? As for his cold face, can't you get used to it? After 3 minutes of fussing, Numabuchi Kichiro fell again and did not get up again, lying on the ground panting. Chi Fei said late, "Stop torturing yourself, I'll take you to prison, the prison is very safe." "Prison?" Numbachi Kichiro murmured. Chi Fei stood there and did not step forward. As expected, Numabuchi Kichiro breathed a sigh of relief, then jumped up again and continued to slam twice. "Impossible. You won't be so kind to send me to prison. You didn't want to let me go at all, did you?" A minute later, Numbachi Kichiro fell to the ground again exhausted. About there. Only then did Chi Fakey pull out an iron needle from his pocket, stepped forward, squatted down, put the rope aside, and fiddled with the handcuffs that bound Kichiro Numbachi's left hand. After all, he has practiced martial arts for more than 10 years in his previous life. He still has the ability to distinguish whether a person is exhausted or how tired he is. Numbachi Kichiro stared at Chi Fakey, gasping for breath, and after the handcuffs on his left hand were opened, he suddenly jumped up again. Almost at the same time, Chi Fakey also grabbed the rope and got up, turned to one side, and after avoiding it, he stretched out his foot and stumbled. While Numabuchi Kichiro leaned forward and smashed to the ground, he also took advantage of the situation to grab Numabuchi Kichiro's wrist. Push the person to the ground with their hands behind their backs. This time, Numabuchi Kichiro didn't flutter anymore, and let Chi Fakey tied with a rope and carried him down. Of course, he didn't have the strength to flutter anymore. Chi Fakey threw the person into the passenger seat, tied the seat belt around again, took out his mobile phone to take a picture, and sent an email to the mailbox provided in the bounty mission information. Numabuchi Kichiro was successfully arrested. Location: Osaka. July. Send it to the nearest police station headquarters, and pay the bounty after the inspection is completed. OK. In the car, Numbachi Kichiro stared at the box placed on the dashboard. Ike Fake put away the phone, took the box, opened it, and handed it to the hand that Numbachi Kichiro was tied to in front of him. Numabuchi Kichiro's hands were tied in front of him, and after securing the box, he glanced at the gloves on Chi Fake's hand, and seemed to realize that Chi Fake had always been wearing gloves, but he didn't ask, and buried his head in madness without saying a word. Eat. Chi Fake went around to the driver's seat and got into the car. He didn't dare to untie the rope, so he could only let this guy eat like this, but he was a little worried that Jiichiro Numabuchi would choke to death, so he didn't rush to drive, and waited for Numabuchi to eat. Kichiro finished eating the takoyaki in the box, took the box, and passed the paper. Numbachi Kichiro wiped his mouth silently. Chi Fei picked up the paper late, opened a bottle of mineral water and handed it over. Numbachi Kichiro drank again. Ike Fake waited for Kichiro Numbachi to drink enough before starting the car. In return for inviting you to dinner, the police will ask about my appearance at that time. Can you keep this a secret? Numabuchi Kichiro held the mineral water bottle in both hands. His face was blank and silent. Ike Fake didn't expect Kichiro Numabuchi to agree, so he drove away from the MT. He didn't want to be identified so quickly because he was worried that he would be deprived of the bounty action right because of his mental history. But as long as you show enough ability to make the other party feel that the small problem is acceptable compared to the assistance to their work. Although the bounty action is a free personal act, the other party does not allow him to do it himself, but the official is the biggest customer. In the afternoon, 2:36. At the headquarters of the Osaka Prefectural Police Department, the operator received a strange call. On the other side of the phone, the male voice was low and hoarse. "Hello, your delivery service has been delivered to the door of the police station, please come out to receive it." What? The operator was dumbfounded. But the other party has hung up the phone. What's wrong? I received a strange call saying that my delivery service has been delivered to the police station door. Did you order Takbin to send it to the police station? No, I didn't order anything, and I answered the alarm phone line, not my personal cell phone. It can't be the wrong number, right? And the other party said it was the door of the police station. Anyway, let's go out and have a look first. A colleague accompanied the operator downstairs and noticed at a glance that there was a large cardboard box half a person high at the foot of the tree on the roadside outside the building. The reason I noticed it at a glance was because there was still a piece of paper on the cardboard box, and the words on the paper were very large: "Live Takbin, please handle it with care, no violent unpacking on the road not far away." Chi Fake sat quietly in the car and watched. He was satisfied when he saw the police coming out to receive the courier. It's better not to treat it as a prank call, otherwise he will have to make another call in a few minutes. However, there was still a little mess. The two police officers looked at the big box, but did not open the box tacitly, and called in the explosion-proof disposal team. After a group of police officers carefully opened the box, they saw Kichiro Numabuchi sitting in the box with a blank face, tied into a zongzi. There was also a piece of printing paper pasted on Numabuchi Kichiro's body. The wanted criminal, Numabuchi Kichiro. A group of police officers were silent for a moment, and then they were busy getting Kichiro Numbachi out and bringing him back. After watching Kichiro Numbachi enter the gate of the police station, Chi Fake withdrew his gaze and started the car to leave. Fortunately, Kichiro Numbachi and the group of police officers were pretty smart, and they didn't come up with any escape again plot. Courier. No, 20 minutes after Kichiro Numbachi delivered it, the other party's transfer was also completed. 3.5 million yen. It is equivalent to about RMB 220,000. In the previous life, the maximum domestic wanted bonus was 100,000 yuan. It was a bonus for providing information to allow the wanted criminal to be arrested. There was no bounty. Judging from the level of danger of Numbachi Kichiro, the price quoted is quite reasonable. In terms of income from various occupations in Japan, it is almost the income of an ordinary salaryman for a year. Chi Fakey returned the car first. After paying the 5,000 yuan rental fee, the boss smiled and saw off the guest. A fat raccoon meowing lazily in the store immediately caused the boss to turn around and touch his head with a smile. Chi Fakey glanced at it. Does your cat usually feed the little fish dry? Ah! The boss was surprised. How did you see it? You reading www.yuyuganshu.com. I'm studying animal medicine. The cat's coat is well kept, so I guess if it's feeding an appropriate amount of dried fish every day. Chi Fakey perfunctory, chatted with the boss a few words, excused that there was something else to stop the conversation, turned around and left. He is indeed a student of the Department of Veterinary Medicine of Dongdu University, and he still retains his student status after admission, but it can be seen from the color of the fur that this is completely nonsense. The fat raccoon flower seemed to be acting like a spoiled brat before, but what he actually said was probably the fat man with stingy fish lips. He earns so much every day and doesn't buy a live fish for him, every day small dried fish, every day dried small fish. Yes, the auditory hallucinations appeared again. However, based on the more than a month of confirmation, Chi Fakey can be sure that this is not an auditory hallucination. What these animals and plants say is true. For example, about the big tree in the hospital's yard, some of the development history of the hospital, the character of a certain doctor, and the little secrets of a certain person, he has secretly verified, and all of them are true. It was also the time of verification. Fukuyama's Haiming found out and talked to him. He also tried to solve the problem through communication at first, but Fukuyama's Haiming's judgment was delusional, auditory hallucinations. Obviously, he didn't know anything about this hospital before that, so why could he imagine things he shouldn't know? In this regard, Fukuyama Chiaki's explanation is in fact, these are things that you know or observe subconsciously, but under normal conditions, you don't remember or realize that. When you hear hallucinations, the subconscious mind recognizes you something that reflects. Blah blah blah. To sum up, it is superpower is impossible, this is not animals or plants talking, but your delusion. You are very sick and I have to make you realize and accept that. Chi Fakey could only be silent. No matter how he was identified as sick, what else could he say? Even the sentence that was about to be said at the time the pot of succulent on your desk told me that you played games with your mobile phone for over an hour when you were lazy at work yesterday was suppressed. If you think about it along the lines of Fukuyama Chiaki, you can guess. If Fukuyama Chiaki heard him say this, his first thought would probably be this kid actually peeked into my office yesterday? I don't remember it at the time but delusional about it. Terrible, cough. I can't say that about the patient, it should be poor, really sick. Anyway, after that, he gave up proving that he was no longer sick with Fukuyama chiming, and secretly studied this ability by himself. For now, the timing of hearing plants and animals speak is irregular, he can't control it, and he hasn't found any regularity for the time being. It's very likely that you won't be able to hear it for a few days, or you may have to listen to a big tree for hours. Just because the time is uncertain and the time of appearance is uncertain, it brings a lot of troubles. For example, it suddenly turned into the style of a horror movie. One night when I went to the toilet, in a quiet and uninhabited environment, there was a low tree potted plant placed outside the toilet, and a faint voice said, "It's so late to go to the toilet." If it weren't for his ability to bear and mentally prepared, I'm afraid he would jump up in fright and kick the potted plant aside. For another example, he couldn't judge the specific number of people by speaking. Once when he was outside the activity room, he heard 3 different voices inside, opened the door and took a look. There were indeed 3 patients in it. It's just that one of the autistic patients was silent, but the grass on the windowsill happily joined the other 2 patients and shouted. Another example is that some animals and plants have different voices from people's voices, but some animals and plants hear sounds that are no different from people's, so it's impossible to judge whether it's a human being or something else based on the voice. Some time ago, I ran to the big tree in the hospital every day. One day, when Fukuyama's Himing came out to chat with him, they called out Mr. Chi in a nurse's tone, and he subconsciously looked back. The result is Fukuyama's Himing, Mr. Chi, what's wrong? Nothing. Fukuyama Chiaki, did the auditory hallucinations appear again? You have to trust me, if there is any situation, you can tell me in time, and you can talk to me if you have any concerns. Come on. Moreover, that has happily called him more than 10 times in a nurse's tone for 3 consecutive days since then, after he stared at him with murderous eyes and considered how to use the tools here to make a delicious roast bird. That just subsided. In fact, it is also good to make spicy hot pot cough cough. However, when there is trouble, there are benefits. I can learn a lot of secrets, understand some things that cannot be understood through normal channels, and can communicate. Although those animals and plants may not be able to understand his meaning clearly, simple instructions can still be completed. Go to Fukuyama Chiaki to prove it. Forget it. More than 10 days ago, that landed in his hands and let him experiment with how far simple instructions can do. Fukuyama's Himing passed by and saw the bird obediently fly up, fall, turn left, turn right, and pick leaves. After watching it for a while, he said with emotion, Mr. Chi is indeed a student of the Department of Veterinary Medicine, and he is very good at domesticating animals. Dr. Fukuyama may not have misunderstood the veterinarian. A veterinarian is not the same as an animal trainer. Although he can also learn some animal habits and methods to appease animals, he and even his classmates, seniors should be better at dissecting animals than domesticating animals. After complaining inwardly, Chi Fakey retracted his thoughts and stopped the car. What to do? Spend money. When Chi Fakey was shopping and ordering things, Conan and Hattori Heiji were running around for the case. 2 people died in a row right under their noses, plus the 2 previous cases with the same modus operandi, a total of 4 victims. The 2 never thought for a while that the police officer Sakata Yuzuki, who had been accompanying them around, was the real murderer. Sakata Yuzuki drove the car and pretended to have no intention of talking about it. The wallet of the deceased who was pierced by a knife had a driver's license in it. In the passenger seat, Hattori Heiji was startled and turned to look at Conan in the back seat. Looking at each other, the corners of their mouths also raised a smile. After checking their eyes, everyone noticed important clues. Hattori Heiji immediately looked at Yuzuki Sakata. Mr. Sakata, turn around. Let's go to the driving supervision office. The call is interrupted. Sakata Yuzuki answered, yes. Go back now? Prefectural Police Headquarters? Okay, I see. Hattori Heiji wondered, what's wrong? It really needs to be diverted. The minister told us to go back immediately, Sakata Yuzuki said. I said that there was an important discovery. Although Hattori Heiji wanted to go to the driving supervision office to investigate the driver's license, he also wanted to know the important discovery, so he didn't say anything. All the way back to the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters, Sakata Yuzuki parked his car, and was surrounded by him as soon as he entered the building. Headmaster Hattori has personally led the team and stared at Yuzuki Sakata sternly. Sakata, as a police officer, you actually killed 4 people and committed such a serious crime, do you have anything else to say? Sakata Yuzuki was stunned. What was wrong with his actions? How was it discovered? Conan and Hattori Heiji were also stunned. What happened? Mr. Good Police, who has been driving them around, is the culprit in this incident? Hattori Heizang said solemnly. The common denominator in the 4 cases is that the murderer's knife ran through the wallet and was nailed to the victim's chest, and the 4 victims' wallets all contained driver's licenses. Hattori Heiji originally wanted to ask his father if he made a mistake, but he didn't say anything when he heard this, just like the clues they noticed. According to our investigation, the 4 victims participated in the same shared driver's license training course 20 years ago. Hattori Hizang took out a photo. In addition to the 4 of them, there are Mr. Gaji Sotaro, a member of the city council, and the wanted criminal Kichiro Numabuchi. At the same time, there is one other person involved. Tetsuji Inaba, the coach of the driver's license training class at that time. Which is your father? 20 years ago, on the day when the 6 students graduated, Tetsuji Inaba died in a car accident while driving while drunk. This is actually a prank of 6 students. They got Toraji Inaba drunk and drained the brake oil. They wanted to see if Toraji Inaba, who is known as the Devil Coach, would be afraid, but it resulted in Toraji Inaba's car accident. Died. And 20 years later, when you learned the truth about your father's death, you planned to kill 5 other people and then put the blame on the fugitive murderer, Kichiro Numbachi. Sakata Yuzuki saw that everything 20 years ago had been found out, and immediately gave no hope. Hearing the real cause of death of his father, he couldn't persuade Bullet and Pingzang to talk nonsense against his heart, and said solemnly, "Yes, the statute of limitations for murder is 15 years, now 20 years have passed, and there is no way to hold them accountable, so I decided to do justice for this guy, convict them. Don't be self-righteous." Hattori Hizang snapped, "Sakata, do you still think this is implementing your own justice? Does depriving others of their lives represent justice? As a police officer, you committed murder. You who are supposed to uphold the legal system are trampling on the legal system, and the cherry blossom badge on the criminal police card will also cry for you." The other police officers took Yuzuki Sakata away, who was absent-minded. Conan couldn't help but sighed to Hattori Heiji in a low voice, "You Osaka police are really good." Not only is his investigation ability strong, but Hattori Hizang's remarks are also deafening and righteous. In general, he already knew everything, and the police were still confused, but this time, he noticed important clues, the motive of the murder and the prisoner's plan. The police in Osaka are very different. Of course, Hattori Heiji was also a little proud and said happily, "I didn't expect them to even investigate what happened 20 years ago." Conan nodded, "Yes, it's just like what I saw with my own eyes." Usually, such admiration will appear on detectives. But Hattori Heiji raised his eyes to look at Hattori Hizo, saw Hattori Hizo looking over, and asked slightly proudly, "You haven't cracked the modus operandi yet?" Hattori Hizang squinted at Hattori Heiji, "You reading www.yuyugonshu.com the stinky boy's eyes. Still choking in front of his father? No need to crack, we can just ask Sakata directly." Cough. Hattori Heiji choked, "What about the evidence? Have you found the evidence?" Conan also looked at Hattori Hizang, "They didn't find any evidence, they didn't know the police. We have already arrested Kichiro Numbachi, and he has explained everything," Hattori Hirizo said lightly. "Now we have witnesses. According to what he explained, we also found physical evidence where Sakata imprisoned him." Hattori Heiji's mouth twitched, "That is to say, you caught Kichiro Numbachi first. Did you know this from Kichiro Numbachi? As a police officer, as long as you can solve the case, catch the real murderer, and find evidence to convict, it doesn't matter whether you have a fancy reasoning process." Hattori Hizang turned and left, and vice versa. The opposite, or vice versa. Hattori Heiji was stunned for a moment, then half-moonied, "On the other hand, it means even if there is a gorgeous reasoning process, it is useless if you can't solve the case, find the evidence, and catch the culprit, right? Does this represent the police running in front of our detectives, or is it to express their dissatisfaction with our detectives around the corner? It can't be called dissatisfaction, it should be that the police have pulled back a game and raised their eyebrows." Conan looked at Hattori Heiji again, "And then I will beat you as a father to wake you up." Hattori Heiji has a black line. Although this makes sense, the reasoning is ultimately for the purpose of catching the culprit and grasping the evidence, But I was suddenly scolded by my own father, and I have to admit that it makes sense. This is the most uncomfortable thing, okay? On the other side, Hattori Hizang went all the way to the interrogation room, thinking attentively, but there was no raised eyebrows as Conan imagined. They didn't catch people. The Osaka Prefectural Police had nothing to worry about. Originally, he heard that Numabuchi Kichiro was arrested and brought over, but he just paid attention to it. The person has already been caught, and the two police officers can slowly ask about the specific situation. His attention was still focused on the case where the murderer had already killed 4 people, and may continue to kill. However, not long after Numabuchi Kichiro brought in, the police department suddenly called and asked them to provide information about Numabuchi's arrest. When asked where Kichiro Numabuchi was caught, the truth of the case and the real murderer Sakata were involved, but when asked who caught him, Kichiro Numabuchi changed his previous cooperation and remained silent to the end. "My minister." Toyama-jin's hero said hello when he saw Hattori Hire coming over. Hattori Hizang nodded. Is he still not saying anything? Yeah, as long as you ask who sent him here, he doesn't say anything, Toyama-jin's hero said. The person who went to the cabin to collect evidence only found traces of the activities of Numabuchi Kichiro and Sakata at the scene. The person who sent Kichiro Numabuchi here seems to have cleaned up his own traces, fingerprints, footprints, hair, nothing left. What about the surveillance outside the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters building? Hattori Hizo asked. Has the other party's whereabouts been photographed? No. The roadside the other party chose happened to be the blind spot of the camera, Yuan Shan Yinchalang said. The phone card the other party called the police was an anonymous phone card that was temporarily purchased. There was no call bill before, and it has been turned off now, so it is impossible to track the other party's phone through contact. In addition, there are no useful clues left on the printing paper. As for the cardboard box, it is the packing box of Cheetah Delivery Service. I have already sent someone to the packing office of Cheetah Delivery Service in Osaka to confirm. Hattori Hizura watched the frayed skin on Numabuchi Kichiro's wrist through the glass window. Numabuchi Kichiro is injured, it shouldn't take long to see the wound. Yes, Toyama-jin's hero looked strange. Numabuchi Kichiro said that he fell by himself, and the people who surveyed the scene also agreed with this statement. Those traces are not like 2 people fighting left behind. In other words, we don't have any information about the other party, so it's hard to tell. Hattori asked. Well, Yuan Shan Yinchalang nodded solemnly and asked tentatively, is there something wrong with that person? Oh. Hattori had some guesses, but he didn't say it. Obviously, Numabuchi Kichiro is defending that person. Toyama Jinjiro's brain was wide open. Could the other party be the accomplice of Numabuchi Kichiro who killed 3 people in a row before? No. Numabuchi Kichiro is a lone action, this can be confirmed, so that person seems to be behind the scenes? He persuaded Kichiro Numabuchi to carry the crime all by himself, and he was sent to the police station with Kichiro Numabuchi. Hattori Hirai saw that Toyama Jinshiro's expression became more and more solemn, and he couldn't help laughing. That's not true. If you can't find out, forget it. After the investigation is over, sort out the investigation results for me. All right. Toyama Yinshiro was a little stunned, seeing how relaxed the head of the department was. Hattori Hizang did not explain. Numabuchi Kichiro was only arrested for more than 10 minutes, when the police at the police station called to ask for information. Regardless of whether he caught Kichiro Numabuchi, he directly asked for the information of his arrest. Explain that the other party told the Public Security Department of the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters in advance that after confirming that Numabuchi Kichiro was arrested, the Public Security Department of the Osaka Security Department immediately reported it. Because this is a case of the criminal department, it is inconvenient to intervene, but they want to know the other party's information, so the National Police Agency contacted him. The person who called was very casual. It seemed that he just wanted to collect information as much as possible, and he didn't take it too seriously. It didn't seem like he regarded the other party as a criminal. Is it someone who noticed over there? Hattori's mentality is rather relaxed. It's enough to submit the situation they've investigated to the past, and the others can't do anything about it. Cheetah Delivery Service. The employees in our packaging department are all here, and they haven't gone out today, and there are only a few large items delivered recently. Are there any large packaging cartons missing? The staff recalled, the packaging cartons are not valuable, and we didn't pay much attention. The two police officers in charge looked at each other, and it seemed that there was no way to investigate. Then, if you think of anything, you can contact us again. Okay. After watching the police leave, the staff turned to look at Chief Aki and smiled embarrassedly. Sorry, I kept you waiting. It's nothing, cooperating with the police in handling the case is a big deal. Chief Aki expressed his understanding. It is not surprising that the police came to investigate the packaging of the cardboard box. It is estimated that the police department wants to obtain his information, and other clues are also being investigated. However, I didn't come here because of a guilty conscience or because I didn't want to come here to find out what's missing. The packaged cartons of Takbin were just picked up on the road. There were no Cheetah Takbin cartons, and they might be cartons from other merchants. He really came here to send something. Then, the delivery location is Qingshan 4th Hospital, the recipient is Dr. Fukuyama Chiaki, and the phone number is. While filling out the form, the staff confirmed with Chief Aki, do you need to specify a delivery time? No, Chief Aki said, any time is fine. Okay, the staff posted the list, took another cardboard box, put a pile of dolls, doll keychains, and children's cultural shirts on the table, and sealed it with tape. Is this for the little girl? Is that your sister? That's right, Ike Faka said, this one will be delivered to number 22, 2CHOME, by Keiko, Tokyo. The recipient, Xiao Ai, does not specify a delivery time. Okay, the staff filled out the form, where's the contact information? No. Okay. Leaving the packaging place, Chief Aki directly stopped a taxi to go to the airport. He came to Osaka and made some money. Naturally, he wanted to share it, but there were not many people he could give gifts to. The former classmates didn't know the address, and there were almost no friends. After all the calculations, only Fukuyama's Haiming and Habara Ai were familiar with them, and he knew them after crossing over. On Baichuan Anda's side, he also prepared a gift, and sent it to Fukuyama's Haiming together, leaving a note for Fukuyama's Haiming to hand over, as an apology for knocking him out and using ether to enhance the stun effect. Originally, he thought that he couldn't favor one over the other, so he would also give a copy to the cheap parents, but he found that he didn't know where the two were, and he didn't even know whether they were at home or abroad, so he simply gave up. Now the hospital should be looking for him everywhere. His cheap dad is not sure, but he bought 2 anonymous phone cards, and the previous number is currently unreachable. When Fukuyama's Haiming receives the delivery service, he may give up the search after knowing from the delivery address that he is in Osaka, or he may ask people to come to Osaka to see. He really dare not underestimate the responsibility of that hospital, but no matter what the situation is, he can use this time to complete another bounty. The taxi was parked outside the airport, and Chi Fei paid late and got off the taxi. When he got in, he threw the phone card to the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters into the trash can at the entrance. More than 10 minutes later, the plane took off from Osaka and flew to Tokyo. At 6:30 in the evening, Chi Fei came out of the airport. Instead of picking up his car parked nearby, he stopped a taxi. There is no need to worry about the protection task. On the contrary, the criminal evidence search needs to investigate and confirm the information first. The target is the backbone of the Tokyo Regional Executive Department of the Inagawa Society. The bounty information provides the target's name, photo, age, address, frequently visited places, and daily movement track. The requirement is to obtain evidence that the other party has committed a crime, no matter what. Although there is no other explanation, it can be guessed. It is estimated that someone touched the bottom line of the Japanese public security, trying to find a breakthrough to clean up this guy, or to kill chickens and warn monkeys, beat one or two. The police didn't choose to do it themselves, and the request was still anything, which means that the other party is well hidden and very difficult. Maybe he needs a helper. Night, exactly 8 o'clock. As night falls, the city is shrouded in lights. The store in Pet Street is at its most leisurely time, and has already made an appointment in 2s and 3s where to go for a drink or two after the store closes. Not many people come to buy pets at night. When Chi Fei was late, the street was deserted. Walking all the way, I could hear animals talking from time to time. That guy over there is so ugly. Don't know what to eat tomorrow. Where is the water? Where is the water? Go ahead, you squeezed me. Going to look around in several stores, Chi Fei noticed a very interesting phenomenon. The animals he can hear, be it cats, dogs, or birds, have more agile eyes than other animals of the same kind, and Yuyuganshu www.yuyuganshu.com has a higher status in the same category. This is the so-called spirituality. And by interacting with these animals, he also discovered the law of his own abilities. Sometimes, he can't hear the animals and plants talking. It's not that his ability is intermittent, but that the animals and plants around him have no or insufficient spirituality. And sometimes, the animals and plants that have spoken suddenly do not say a word. It may be that when they speak, they are just ingenuity. For example, the potted plant outside the toilet, except that night, he never heard the potted plant speak again. It must have been a sudden inspiration at that time, and then he was confused and had no thoughts. Of course, the sudden silence may also be because people don't want to speak. According to the frequency of speech and the content of speech, he can judge the spirituality of these animals and plants. For animals, spirituality and IQ can basically be equated. Think of the big tree that remembers gossip for more than 10 years in the mental hospital, the who only learns the voice of the nurse calling him to play pranks, the succulents on Fukuyama's Hyming's desk who complain every day, and the activity room who laughs with the patients. That pot of flowers. Looking at the front again, after saying a word, he sticks out his tongue and looks at his puppy, the cat sleeping lazily, the hamster who only repeats what to eat tomorrow. Chi Fei was silent. Comparing the two, he suddenly felt the difference in IQ. Could it really be there are many talented people in mental hospitals? Is it the same for animals and plants? Speaking of which, in the past 2 days outside, he has never heard a plant speak. From this perspective, there are fewer spiritual plants than spiritual animals. And there are only 3 in the mental hospital. No, the IQ of 3 trees is not lower than that of people. Sir, do you like this little hamster? The female clerk's voice pulled back Chi Fei's thoughts. Chi Fei realized that he had been staring at the hamster in the glass box for a long time, and then glanced at the hamster again. No, I just found that this hamster has shorter legs than the healthy mouse we studied in the previous class, nearly 5 mm shorter. The hind legs are too thin. The female clerk Dowdle was stunned. Chi Fei continued, when they grow up, they will look better than other hamsters, because they will look like a dumpling when they get fat, but because of this, they will be slightly inferior to other hamsters in terms of exercise, and the hamster itself also rejects exercise. If so, it will be worse than other hamsters in terms of health. The female clerk hurriedly explained, you study mice in class, right? A mouse's legs are generally longer than those of a hamster. No, I'm studying animal medicine, that is, a veterinarian. Compared to mice, we mostly observe common pets. Chi Fei said. The store clerk, Con, well, since she is studying animal medicine, she must be able to distinguish between hamsters and mice. Compared with other hamsters, this hamster does not like exercise much. Under the somewhat regretful gaze of the female clerk, Chi Fei left the pet shop late and continued to walk forward. Before walking too far, I heard a vigorous shout, "Selling snakes, selling snakes! You can roll and sell cute, and you can hunt by yourself. The cheap Killian snakes are only 2,000 yuan, 2,000 yuan. You can bring home the rare and smart mutant Killian snakes." Chi Fei. In the past, he often heard shouting in China, but here in Japan, in the memory he inherited, he never had it. Even if it was a shopping mall event, he had to find a girl to read the words in a formulaic manner. This was the first time he heard of such a hometown atmosphere. So, he stopped and turned his head. In a street shop, the owner is busy cleaning with his head down. In the glass partition by the door, a grey and black snake stood upright, staring straight at him with black eyes, and the snake vomited happily. At first glance, it looks scary. However, what this guy said was, "Sir, do you want to buy a snake? I'm cheap, only 2,000 yuan is not enough to go out for a good meal, don't bite people, just don't let me eat loach again, or don't let me go. I don't need to hunt for food myself, I can support myself very well." Chi Fei was silent for a while, then walked into the door. "Boss, your snake has become a fine. Ah, welcome." The boss, who lowered his head to sweep the floor, hurriedly put the broom aside. "This is a shop that sells special animals, such as snakes, lizards, and spiders." As soon as I entered the store, the temperature felt a lot cooler. But the boss was very kind. "Do you want to buy a pet snake? Look here. Look here." Chi Fei turned his head to take a look, and found that the snake had turned around in the glass box and was still staring at him. The boss's face darkened a bit, and then he said hurriedly, "Most of the pets in our store are very docile. This snake likes to stare at people, but it's not malicious." Snake roared coldly, "You can't sell pets, you blame me. If you sell me, will I stare at others? Even if you can't sell them, you can change your food anyway." Chi Fei ignored the snake language and observed it. "This snake looks like a red snake, but there is no red at all. What species is it?" Cough. The boss was also a little embarrassed, and took out a booklet. "It is indeed a red-trained snake. We have the certificate provided by the farm here. Every snake has a registration. Its parents are pure red-trained snakes, you see." Chi Fei looked down. The booklet did contain very detailed registration information. This guy's parents have the numbers and photos. The two snakes are very nice, red and black, not a bit grey. I don't know how this guy turned grey and black. The boss continued to sell. "Actually, this snake is quite good. Generally, red-trained snakes will have the stench of rotten fish, but this snake has almost no smell and is very clean." Chi Fei took a deep look at the boss. Did he take him for a little white? Although the Killian snake is classified as a non-venomous snake, it is a slightly poisonous snake of the back groove teeth, but the toxicity is basically not harmful to the human body. It is difficult to guarantee that it will not bring harmful toxins to the human body because of the mutation. It is difficult to distinguish the species, and it is uncertain whether there is any harm after the mutation. It is estimated that this is the reason why this snake cannot be sold. "Boss, how do you break it when you meet someone who knows how to do it?" The snake was frantically spitting out a letter. "Sir, I don't bite." Chi Fei ignored it, but continued to say to the boss, "This snake is at least 3 years old, right? The lifespan of a Killian snake is generally 6.1 years. If I buy it back, even if I take good care of it, I can only keep it for about 3 years. Boss. Snake, no, I feel very healthy, I'm still young." Chi Fei. Also, Killian snakes are raised from adults, and they have a big temper. They are usually bought back from larvae and snake seedlings. They are very docile since they were raised, but they will not be aggressive when they grow up. Boss. Snake, I have watched people come and go since I was a child, and I am friendly when I see human beings, and I have a very good personality. Chi Fei looked at the speechless boss and sighed. No wonder you can't sell it, your skin is not as thick as a snake. The boss smiled awkwardly and changed the subject. Actually, you can look at others, we also have normal red-trained snakes. By the way, there are also corn snakes. Corn snakes are docile and can live up to 15 years. Good for pets. The snake was powerless to lie down. Sir, look at me again, look at me again. The Black Heart boss has fed the little loach for 3 years, 3 years. I haven't even eaten anything else, so I can only watch other snake food. Isn't it just the color is a bit strange? It will kill the snake. Don't look at it, Chi Fei called to the boss who was leading the way, just this one. The boss was taken aback for a moment, and looked at the glass box in surprise. The snake in the glass box stood up again, staring straight at Chi Fei. How much? Chi Fei asked again. The boss came back to his senses. The price is 2,000 yen, the feeding instruction manual and the certificate are packaged, and a plastic transparent carrying box is also attached. He almost sold the snake with the same mood as sending a plague god, and watched Chi Fei gratefully. Go out. This snake really knows its price, and it was not wrong before. After going out, Chi Fei turned into the alley beside him and put the plastic box on the ground. The snake in the plastic box lazily spit out letters: little mouse, little frog, little chicken, little fish. What are you doing? Chi Fei grabbed the snake's 7 inches and picked it up, looking at the snake in front of him. Before? No, until he met this snake, he never thought about raising a snake. Even if you want to tame a helper, snakes have many shortcomings. Snakes can't see much at night. They mainly rely on their tongue to feel vibrations or their own heat sensors to perceive the surrounding world. Searching for non-biological things is almost useless. Moreover, the IQ of snakes is generally not high, and most of them survive by instinct. The highest IQ should be the cobra, but even if he wants to raise it, he will never forget it. And snakes are afraid of cold and need to hibernate. Originally, he was more inclined to buy creatures such as cats or birds that were easy to search. After communicating and domesticating, he cooperated with himself to collect information. However, this guy has a high IQ, almost the same as the average human. The snake also let Chi Fei carry it, and didn't dare to resist. If it bites someone and is sent back, it's a trivial matter. The key is that this guy is holding its vitals. What is this guy trying to do? It heard that some people eat everything, shouldn't it? In the dark alley, one person and one snake looked at each other. Both human eyes and snake pupils were calm and indifferent, but the thoughts in his heart had already turned around several times. In the end, it was Chi Fei who broke the silence and took out the keychain from his pocket. Can you see what I'm holding? The snake stared at it for a while, then spit out a letter and murmured, to play this with a snake, is he the snake essence disease that people say? Will he not even be able to eat loach in the future? I'm so hard. Chi Fei's face was a little dark, and he said in a low voice, I don't know if it is difficult for you, but I count to 3. If you don't answer my question again, I promise you will appear at the dinner table tomorrow. The snake suddenly raised his head, his round eyes still had no emotion, but he was obviously startled. Chi Fei started to count, 1, 2. Snake, yes. 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 I can see, isn't you reading www.yuyuganshu.com the key? I know this thing. Chi Fei nodded and thought for a second, you know each other? That is to say, you can see things clearly at night, but the question is do you know them? I can see. After the snake was surprised, it seemed to suddenly become happy, and the chicken nodded frantically up and down. Actually, I know a lot of things, you see, I know that you humans express yes and yes when you're there, you just nod your head like this. Chi Fei. This, no, this second hand. Among the shortcomings of snakes, this guy does not have the problem of low IQ, and if he can see at night, hibernation is not unacceptable. Anyway, he is too lazy to go out and run around in winter. Actually, think about it, snakes also have many advantages. It's enough to feed once a week, and you don't need to take a walk. The snake shook its head and got a little dizzy, then stopped and said with emotion, "It's the first time I've communicated with creatures since I was born. Humans don't know what I'm talking about, they don't know that I'm learning from them, and none of the same kind can't. See what I mean? They just swim around, hunt, rest." Chi Fei looked at the pair of snake pupils who seemed to be indifferent and without a trace of emotion. His heart was slightly touched, and he quickly regained his calm, but his tone slowed down. "My name is Chi Fei, Ikyoso," said, put the snake aside, took out the pen and notepad, tore the page, wrote the text, katakana and Roman accent, and put it beside the snake's eye. "You're called Fei, Hyaka." Chi Fei tore up another piece of writing and put it next to the previous note, "Just right, as a red snake, it's not red, it suits you very well." Fei Qi stared at him intently and nodded, but this time he didn't talk about it. "Next is the 3 chapters of the contract." Chi Fei stopped tearing the paper this time, and put away the notepad and pen. "First, don't bite people, especially me, without my permission. Second, make money together, earn after the money, I'll buy you something delicious." Fei turned his head to stare at Chi Fei, and the snake letter threw up happily again. "Delicious? I want to try the hamster from the store next door. This foodie snake." Chi Fei was a little speechless, but he also liked food. "No problem, I'll buy bamboo rat for you when the time comes. As for how to make money, just follow my instructions. Third, if you want to leave one day, don't sneak around. Come on, tell me." Fei shook his head again and again. "If you don't go, I won't go anywhere." "Okay, let's go to a place first, step on the spot, and prepare to make money." Chi Fei picked up Fei and prepared to put it in the box. Fei flicked her tail around Chi Fei's wrist. "Don't let me in, it's boring." Chi Fei calmly said, "The optimum temperature for snake activities is 20-30 degrees Celsius. If it exceeds 35 degrees Celsius, it will cause anorexia and illness. If the temperature of the human body exceeds 35 degrees Celsius, you will get sick if you stay in my hands for a long time." Fortunately, Fei doesn't have a strange smell, otherwise he would have been crushed to death if he dared to climb on him. "I'm not afraid of heat. Last time, there was a kid playing with a lighter to bake glass, and I didn't even feel hot when I got close." Fei Qi babbled, as if wanting to prove it, and drilled into his sleeve again. Chi Fei stretched out his hand to hold the snake's head through his clothes. "Don't be stubborn, and you can stay on your hands and neck, don't crawl in other places, don't wake up and give me a sip, and don't accidentally strangle my neck." "Don't worry, absolutely not." Fei protruded his head from his cuff and assured him loudly. Chi Fei stood up and picked up the note and the plastic suitcase by the way. Fei instigated, "You don't need to bring the box." Chi Fei said seriously, "Don't litter, just buy some food for you. When was the last time you ate?" Fei recalled, 3 days ago. Chi Fei suddenly thought of something. "By the way, Fei, today is Sunday, right? Do you know what day of the week tomorrow is?" "Fei, tomorrow is Friday." Chi Fei. End number equals number. A pet store that sells hamsters. Seeing Chi Fei coming back, the female clerk was a little surprised, and then she put on a smile. "Are you still going to buy a hamster?" Chi Fei nodded and handed over the plastic transparent suitcase, 3 for each male and female. The box sent by the owner of the snake is not small, including the activity space, 6 hamsters can stay. "Okay, okay." The wholesale attitude made the female clerk a little confused. "Don't you choose it yourself?" "No, the hamsters in your store are of good quality." Chi Fei looked at the short-legged hamster before, let's pack this one too. The female clerk was surprised again. Hey? But I don't plan to keep it for a long time, Chi Feka said. Other hamsters can strengthen their activities and the meat will be firmer. This one doesn't have to be forced to move. It has a higher proportion of fat and will taste softer. Occasionally change the taste. Not bad. The female clerk froze. What do you say in a pet store about meat, fat, taste? Are you the devil? Is there a problem? Chi Feka looked over. The female clerk met those cold and indifferent purple eyes, then looked down at the snake that climbed out of Chi Feka's cuff and was staring at her spitting letter, and shook her head seriously. No, no. Then please hurry up, I still have something to do. Okay, okay. A minute later, the female clerk watched Chi Feka leave and turned to look at the mice in the other glass boxes. The chubby little hamsters are holding melon seeds and chewing, with cute little black eyes. She came to work here because she likes these little guys. But just now, she personally picked 6 of them to go on the road destined to die. The phone rang, and Muran picked it up. Hey! Xiaomei, it's me, do you want to go shopping together the day after tomorrow? What? What's wrong with you? Ah, it's nothing, the day after tomorrow to go shopping, can we go shopping together tomorrow? Aren't you going to work? I want to take leave tomorrow. But I have class tomorrow, and there will be a new transfer student in my class tomorrow. She's a very cute little girl. That's right. I said, what's the matter with you? The other side teased, have you been rejected by a handsome guy? Meet a handsome guy? The female clerk inexplicably remembered Chi Feka's face, those indifferent eyes that were demonized in her impression, and the snake staring at her spitting out a letter. Then she turned to look at the little hamster in the store, and she felt a psychological shadow. Said seriously, no, I think it's better to find someone who looks average in the future. However, the character must be good. You finally think about it, I told you before. Late at night. A villa is brightly lit. A group of people led dogs to patrol the courtyard, and there were more than a dozen burly men standing at the door. In the empty house opposite, a figure sat on a tree trunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 good cars, plus 5 distinct teams of bodyguards. I happened to meet someone from the Tokyo Executive Department of the Inagawa Society at a meeting, really. Good luck. Chi Feka glued the wiretap to Fei Chi Fang's teeth and adjusted it repeatedly. Are you feeling better now? Feka closed her mouth. I think it's a little weird, but it's okay. Be patient, if you're lucky, you can finish work today. Chi Feka asked again, do you remember that person's appearance? Of course. Fei Chi said proudly, just remember one person. Chi Feka laughed, go, be careful not to swallow it, and don't get bitten by a dog. Feka moved down the tree, crawled from the shadow to the opposite side, and soon got in through the crack of the iron gate and disappeared. Chi Feka took out the eavesdropping device, connected the headphones, and listened for a while. After hearing the human voice, the debugging was clear and he pressed record. Those guys seem to be following you recently. After all, those are all good things that are prohibited from exporting. I can't do anything about it. Recently, there has been a financial problem. This matter has touched their bottom line, let's sell it as soon as possible. I have already contacted the other party. The day after tomorrow, the transaction will be carried out at the Ryuhi Heavy Industry Waste Warehouse outside Tokyo. Seta, please contact Kawaguchi again and try to suppress it. Don't you understand? The reason why the public security police are also called political police is that I managed to tie the chariot of our Inagawa society to Senator Kawaguchi. Okay, don't get angry, this is the end of the matter, as long as the thing is shot as soon as possible, it will be fine, otherwise, not only Senator Kawaguchi will be targeted by the police, but even the people from the research institute will not be spared. By the way, last time. The meeting lasted for over an hour. It wasn't until those people left in cars one after another, and after the villa became calm again, Fake quickly swam out, got into the opposite house, and climbed the tree easily. How is it? Is the news useless this time? No, it's too useful. Fake stared at the eavesdropping device for a while, then put on his gloves and took off the memory card. I'm considering whether to ask the other party to add money. The smuggling of high-tech equipment that is prohibited from exporting involves a congressman, 2 research institute personnel, as well as the place to put things, and the location and time of smuggling transactions. Coupled with the general description of the 2 murder cases, the development plan of the Inagawa Society for the next 6 months, a plan that has been put on the agenda. If you don't add money, you will lose a lot. Fake breathed a sigh of relief and stammered, it's okay if it's useful, but you can smile if it's useful. I thought I couldn't make money. Come, make money is a good thing, give me a smile to encourage. Ha ha ha. Fake almost read it out, but there was no reaction on his face. Open your mouth, I'll help you take off the bug. Fake was speechless for a moment, then opened her mouth obediently, and waited for Fake to take off the bug before he rambled, don't lie to me, are you laughing? I've seen a lot of people laughing, but it's not like you. Fake flipped through his pockets, found an iron bar, put it away silently, and took out a thin, bright piece of iron, facing Fake, which could barely be used as a mirror. Then you have a look at it with a smile. Ha 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 ha. Fake laughed. You read www.yuyugonshu.com and then stared at the unchanging snake face in the iron sheet, falling into silence. It looks the same when it smiles. After successfully making Fake fall into a state of self-doubt, Fake was satisfied, packed his things, cleaned up the traces, and climbed down the tree. Let's go to his office and pick up the things, he said. No, you are a human, can you compare with a snake? Fake muttered, dissatisfied, and followed. Reacted? Not bad. Fake left all the way, cleaning up the traces skillfully. Fei Chi. The next day. Police Department. The young man sitting in front of the computer was stunned for a moment, then he copied the information with a serious look, got up, turned left, and knocked on his boss's office door. What's up? Mr. Kanhara, Numbachi Kichiro was arrested yesterday. I asked the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters to provide information on the arrest. That bounty hunter with the code name July. The middle-aged man behind the desk looked up from the pile of documents. Yes, at least you need to know the basic information such as the age and appearance of the other party. Has the news over there already been sent? There are not many bounty hunters in Asia, and the best bounty hunters are almost all concentrated in Europe. He originally thought that the other party should be someone with some strength who wanted to take risks, but he caught Kichiro Numabuchi in less than a day, so it was worth his attention. Yes, but the Osaka Prefectural Police Headquarters doesn't know his condition, neither his age nor his appearance. The young man said. They intentionally concealed it. Jin Yuan Sheng frowned. No, the information they provided is very detailed. The young man handed over the memory card with the copied documents. You better take a look at it yourself.